Do you remember when the White House warned India several times against importing oil from Russia?
I don't think it's in their interest to import more Russian oil. The president also made clear that he does not believe it's in India's interest. It is not in their interest to increase that.
Not in India's interest. You know, Jen Psaki repeated those lines at least 4 times in the same press briefing back in April, and repeated those same words in the days to come as well. India did not pay heed to America's warnings, and now US is taking a softer stance as it desperately tries to woo India. From a senior US defense official to the US Consul General in Mumbai to Ned Price, all are saying that US wants to be India's best defense partner. Now, question is why? That too when India has defied all of America's warnings? Is Russia gaining something from India which US wants? India is one of the biggest spenders on defense equipment in the world. Russia is India's leading supplier of arms and munitions. Between 2000 and 2020, Russia accounted for 66.5% of India's arms imports. Of the $53.85 billion spent by India during this period on arms imports, $35.82 billion went to Russia. Clearly, India's defense imports are essential for Russia. And when it comes to oil imports, India has become the second largest importer of oil from Russia. This October, Russia became the largest energy supplier to India. This clearly makes India dear to Moscow, even as the Kremlin reels under pressures of US sanctions. Now, when US slapped sanctions on Moscow, they probably expected India to abide by them and comply, saying it's not in India's interest to deal with Russia. But did India comply? No way. From less than 1%, India now imports nearly 22% of its total crude oil imports from Russia. From 60,000 barrels per day in the first quarter of 2022 to nearly 1 lakh barrels per day in October. A clear message from India to both Russia and the US.
We don't send people out there saying go buy Russian oil. We send people out there saying go buy oil. Now, you buy the best oil you can in the market. I mean, they've squeezed every other source of oil we have and then say, okay guys, you must not go into the market and guess the best deal for your people. I don't think that's a very fair approach.
India has been wanting to diversify its military arsenal, which majorly comes from Russia, and US does not want to miss this opportunity. So US wants to help India diversify its arms options. But why? Because if US gains India's defense orders, it will be a direct hit to Russia, which gains big business from India. As per US 2022 National Security Strategy, India is an ally, especially in the Indo-Pacific. China is a competitor, and Russia has been called a clear threat.
We know that India is an essential partner for us in realizing our shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. That is really at the heart of the Quad's goal.
So if US is tolerating India's Russian oil imports, do you think it has any other option but to? Because being in India's good books helps US position itself strongly in the Indo-Pacific. As we see US trying to help India deviate from Russian military procurements, there is an irony which I must mention here. You see, US is actually one of the main reasons behind India and Russia's defense ties, because Western countries refused to supply weapons to India for decades, and Russia always delivered.
For multiple decades, Western countries did not supply weapons to India, and in fact saw a military dictatorship next to us as the preferred partner.
Do you think India was right in continuing its oil imports from Russia in spite of US warnings?